and Mindanao. Welcome to Success Community TV. This is our weekend broadcast brought to you by none other than our Mastermind Alliance Group, ang Success Community. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat, buong Pilipinas at buong mundo. So ngayong araw na to, we are privileged to have a special guest speaker who will again equip us with more wisdom, with knowledge, and dahil po dyan, lalo po tayong lalago sa ating mga negosyo at sa ating mga career. And napaka-timely po na itong topic na to dahil katulad nga ng na-mention ko kanina, off-cam, nasabi ko po dun sa mga naunang nagpunta dito sa atin sa broadcast na ito ay this is something na nali-leave out na hindi po na ituturo sa eskwelahan. And nung pinost ko pa lang po yung topic sa ating Facebook ay ang dami na nag-message sa akin, Sir John, grabe, exciting tong topic na to. Di ba? And so ngayon, ito po, nabibigyan ko lang kayo ng mga sample ng ating mga i-discuss today at para medyo may konting kiliti sa inyo at kayo po ay maganahan na magstay. And then after po nito, mag-shout out tayo ng konti. So isa na po dyan ay of course, una sa lahat, sino po ba sa inyo, sige tanong muna tayo, let's start with the question. Sino po sa inyo yung nautangan po? Alright? Sino po yung nautangan at hindi pa nababayaran hanggang ngayon? At hindi nyo alam paano nyo sisingilin or paano nyo magagawa ng paraan. Sige nga, post nyo nga dyan. Alright, nautangan ako at gusto ko nang makasingil. Sige, lagay nyo nga sa ating chat box para alam ko nandito naman kayo at ganahan din yung ating speaker na mag-share sa inyo. Grabe, ang dami, no? Okay. Yan. Sige, lagay nyo. Sino yung mga nautangan at hindi pa nabayaran hanggang ngayon? O, kaya alam nyo na, ngayon nasa Facebook na tayo. Yung mga nasa Facebook ay baka maging blessing kayo sa mga kaibigan nyo ngayon at kapamilya nyo. Mahingi naman kami ng konting support, no, para marami pong makapanood sa atin. Paunlakan nyo naman po na i-share itong broadcast natin. Pindutin nyo lang doon sa Facebook yung share, and pag pindot niyo, pwede po kayong mag-watch party para lahat po nung nasa Facebook nyo ay makapanood din po sa atin at kumalat tayo all over the world. Ayan. Ang dami na nagpo-post. Isa po yan sa mga pang-araw-araw na mga problema ng Pilipino. Pero dahil nga po for the lack of proper guidance pagdating sa batas, hindi rin natin alam ano ba yung gagawin ko, 'di ba? Pangalawa, sino po sa inyo, ito mas malalim na tanong, meron po ba sa inyo na tawag dito nakasuhan? Ayan. Nakasuhan at hindi alam kung ano yung gagawin. Let's say naka-receive kayo ng subpoena or naka-receive kayo ng letter na meron kayong kaso, 'di ba, out of nowhere or kung ano man 'yan. Sige, lagay niyo lang diyan na isa sa mga challenges ko 'yan, Sir John. Ganyan. All right? And the last naman na tanong ko, baliktarin naman natin, what if kayo naman yung naagrabyado? All right? Let's say may nangyari sa inyo and hindi mo naman alam paano magfa-file ng case. All right? So, kanino ba ako tatakbo? Ano ba ang gamit ng isang attorney, di ba? And isa pang madalas na tinatanong sa akin pagdating sa kalagayan na yan, magkano ba bayad? Di ba? Pag kumuha ako ng isang attorney to guide me and to help me throughout this case. And is it worth it to pursue this case? Meron ba siyang ibang paraan para matapos na yan and so on, kung gaano ba yung katagal, and so these are questions I know you have in mind. And we are so blessed today because we have somebody who is very, very knowledgeable, an expert pagdating dito sa topic na ito. So excited po ba kayo? Sige, para naman ganahan po yung ating guest speaker ngayon. Ayan, no, marami sa inyo naglalagay na dito na scam ako, anong gagawin ko, di ba? Yung mga ganyang bagay. Alright, sige. So, para lang ma-feel namin yung energy na nandito kayo at kabilang kayo dito sa ating broadcast ngayon, ay ilagay nyo naman dyan, I'm so excited. Ayan. Ilagay nyo po, I'm so excited. Ayan, para naman na mabasa din ng ating guest speaker na you're into the workshop today. Ayan. Okay. So, hindi na ako magtatagal. Let me just explain our program for today, how it will run. And then after this, I will now give the the floor to our guest speaker for today. So una sa lahat, we will have ano po, no, 3 parts po ito yung gagawin natin. Actually 2 parts, pero tawagin na lang natin 3 parts. The first part, ito pong ating guest speaker ay bibigyan po tayo ng kanyang basic lecture on the importance of law in life and in business. Yan po yung una niyang i-discuss. And after po niyan, para naman po hindi mapagod din yung speaker natin, ay magbe-break muna tayo. And in that 45 minutes break, we will take the opportunity, all right, para po tayo po ay magkaroon ng konting idea ano po ba yung success community, no, which is the sponsor ng ating show. Kasi hindi po natin magagawa itong mga libreng trainings na ito. Siyempre may gastos din tayo dito kung wala po yung success community na siya po yung nagbibigay sa atin ng support para po nakakabigay tayo ng mga trainings tulad nito. Every week kasi, di ba, nagpo-promote tayo, gumagamit tayo ng airtime, ng internet connection na mabilis, alright? So lahat po yan may expense. And mamaya po, habang nagbe-break, ay habang nagpapahinga po yung speaker natin, ay may ipapalabas po tayong video about success community. And then the last part is the most exciting part, which I'm sure lahat kayo ay magiging excited. We will give everybody, not necessarily everybody, but kung sino siguro yung unang magtanong, alright, ng chance na magbigay po ng inyong mga tawag dito, questions that is related to our topic, and as best as our expert speaker will give his best to address, hanggang sa abot ng kanyang makakaya sa panahon na meron ngayon, to give you some tips, all right, on how you're going to solve your issues, no, na related po sa Philippine law. Kasi hindi naman natin pwedeng sagutin yan lahat ngayon, no, dahil alam naman natin na every case or every situation requires a lot of research. But you can ask basic questions po mamaya, no. And yun yung pinaka-exciting kasi ito na yung actual na application na talaga siya. So we will have on part 2, we will have a 45-minute question and answer, and then bibigyan din natin ng pagkakataon yung mga panelists natin to give their takeaways. Ibig sabihin, i-share naman natin yung mga natutunan din natin, no? So para as a way of giving back appreciation to our mentor for today, pa-express natin ano ba yung natutunan natin sa kanyang mga diniscuss sa kanyang lecture, para alam din niya na bago tayo naghiwalay ay lahat tayo nagkaroon ng wisdom galing sa kanya. Alright, so with that, I hope you're all here excited. Let's do a shout out para ma-empower naman yung mga nandito. Ilagay nyo lang po yung pangalan nyo at saka yung area nyo para mabati po namin kayo, no? Hi to April Deliosa from Pasig. Hello sa iyo, April. Alright, hello Philip Basalio from Cagayan de Oro. Sige po, bati na po kayo para at least alam na. Wendell, may kasama tayo from Canada. Hello po dyan sa Canada. And TJ Rabasa from Ormoc, Leyte. Hello sa inyo dyan sa lahat ng kasamahan natin na taga Leyte. Jomel Angeles from Naik, Cavite. Hello sa iyo. Rosel Cadorna from Lapu-Lapu City. I think that's Cebu, no? Tama po ba? And Melody Francisco, hello dyan sa Binyan. Magandang araw sa inyo. Sa lahat ng mga taga Binyan na kasama natin. Okay, sino pa ba yung nandito? Okay, may kasama tayo si Lyndon Romano all the way from Qatar. Hello po dyan. And Leslie watching from Singapore. Okay, shout out daw kay Ricardo from Manila. Ayan. Sige. Yung kung meron kayong mga grupo, kamag-anak, or kung ano man, pwede kayong mag-shout out. Nababatiin ko sila on air ngayon. Napapanood po tayo all over the world right now. So hello to Claudette from Cainta. And Herminia Lagdamen from Coronadal City. Ayan, taga Mindanao po. Hello po dyan sa lahat ng mga taga Coronadal. Sige po, bati lang po kayo. And Ijan Butchong from Davao City. Joe Gisultra from Brunei offshore with love. Okay, hello po dyan sa barko kayo, no? So you are watching this from a ship. Okay, hello po sa Cagayan de Oro kay Sangredora daw. Hello. Galing sa friend mo pa yung bumabate. Pakilagay po yung pangalan nyo kasi nawawala po yung yung pangalan dito sa Zoom. So hindi ko mabasa. Ilagay niyo yung pangalan nyo tsaka sino yung babatiin nyo. Alright, hi to Rich Tersenyo mula naman sa Laguna. Mary Ann all the way watching all the way from the United States of America. And Rod Antipuesto from Riyadh. Cathy from Tagum City, and Annalyn from Angeles, Pampanga. Hello po dyan sa mga taga Pampanga. And Balsado family, hello daw po sa inyo mula sa kay Chris and ayan po, family of Cebu. And hi Sir John from Doha, Qatar. Ayan si Lynn. Hello po dyan sa Doha. And sino pa po? Okay, si Joe, hindi ko mabasa yung name, no? Sige, hello po kay Miracel watching from Hong Kong, and also to Juvie Julian. Hello sa iyo, and Norberto Season. Magandang araw. Teka, baka magtampo yung mga nasa Facebook na live natin. Nako, grabe, umabot na tayo ng daan-daan dito. Okay, let's go to Facebook live naman. Check ko lang para alam ko rin na pumasok yung broadcast natin. Dahil dito sigurado mas marami pong makakapanood habang sinishare po tayo sa Facebook. Ito, aabot tayo ng libo-libo dito ngayong araw na to. Alright, ayan, aabot na tayo ng 200 plus na kagad itong nasa Facebook. Okay, hello po sa inyo. Kay Fruit Hernel, watching from Saudi Arabia. Hello sa iyo, Lizelle Hamero. Shout out kanila Kokoy, CJ sa Tagum City. Okay, Red Celis, hello po sa inyo. And Juvie Makatlang, watching from Pangasinan. Hello po dyan sa Pangasinan. Mangantayon, maya-maya pa dinner. Alright. Serses Garcia, hello po. And Ellie Sumagsay. Sino pa yung mga nandito? Serses Garcia, hello din sa iyo. At shout out daw sa batch 73 from Tarlac City, galing kay Belia Pacson. Alright, hi daw sa kanyang mga kabatchmates. Alright, and sa Cavite naman po si Roel Alampayan, hello sa iyo. Okay, and Micah Brenda from Bulacan, kay Micah Ronquillo, hello po sa iyo. And sige po, bati lang po kayo. Renji Tuazon, okay. Sige, hanggang dito na muna tayo ngayon. Ayan, meron tayong kasama si Kuya Mel, all the way from Singapore. Hello po dyan. Kamusta na po ba ang sitwasyon natin dyan sa Singapore po, no? At sana na wala na rin yung lockdown sa inyo, no? And magandang araw. At doon ito meron tayong kasama from Kiangan, Ifugao. Alright, Northern Luzon. Hello po sa inyo. So mukhang covered na natin buong Pilipinas and different parts of the world, no? Ayan, meron pa tayo si Joel naman watching from General Santos City. Alright, so hindi na ako magtatagal. I'm sure hindi naman yung shout out ang ating pinunta ngayong araw na to. Kung hindi yung learnings na makukuha natin. Let me just open the profile of our speaker so I can now actually introduce him properly. I don't want to miss out dun sa kanyang napaka-powerful na background po, no? Yung kanyang professional background. So let me just open this and let me zoom through it. Okay, so our guest speaker for today is actually a very well-respected attorney, and he's actually based in Cagayan de Oro City. Yan po, no? It's taga CDO. Ayan, and he has actually expressed a good track record pagdating sa kanyang pag-aaral ng sa law school and preparatory courses niya for law. And napaka ganda po ng kanyang experience sa buhay. Sabi po dito ay sa dami ng intensive trainings na nadaanan niya, ay lahat po yan ay he passed all of it with with the flying colors po, no? And he's very fluent in English, both oral and written. All right. Ayan po, 1993 actually he's a graduate of Ateneo de Cagayan. Ayan po, until college po, no? And he has a Bachelor of Laws in Cagayan Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan Xavier University. Ayan po. And he has actually received one of the prestigious loyalty awards from the university itself. And member po ito ng isang law fraternity, Centillas Legis po, Fraternitas Centilla Legis College of Law, na isang fraternal organization. Ayan po, common po yan, no, sa mga attorneys po sa Pilipinas na usually sila po ay member ng isang brotherhood or ng isang fraternity na tinatawag. And he's also a member of the Cross Sword Fraternity and Sorority Organization. Ayan, board member of the Riverside Eagles Club. At ayan po, no? And is also a board of member ng Bangon Cagayan, a non-profit organization of environmentalist. Grabe, no? So hindi lang po ito ordinary na attorney, isa po itong promoter ng clean and green environment. Napakaganda po na ano po 'yan, no, na hangarin. And ito po, no, he has actually worked with several corporations and also some government organizations. He was a vice president, all right, of NJL Corporation. He is currently. And then also he's part of the Department of Education. He's an attorney for the Department of Education ng Cagayan de Oro sa DepEd Division ng CDO. So he's one of the attorneys natin dyan sa Department of Education sa Cagayan. Yan. So, and it's also the, siya po yung head po ng law office niya, ang Del Puerto Law Office, which is based in Gran Europa, Lumbia, Cagayan de Oro City. So, hindi ko na dadaanan pa lahat kasi mas maganda kung mapakinggan natin yung kanyang background ng konti from himself. And of course, we would like to listen to his very powerful presentation. So, di na po ako magtatagal. Nais ko, kung nasan man kayo ngayon, alright, sana ay sabayan nyo naman po ako sa ating malakas na palakpak. Alright? Actually, malayo kayo sa amin ngayon, no, ni attorney. Pero kung nasan man kayo ngayon, ramdam namin yan. Yung energy ninyo para kami lalo pang ganahan magbigay sa inyo. So, palakpakan po natin. Panelists, gusto ko nakikita ko yung kamay nyo lahat, kasi nakikita kayo ni attorney ngayon. Alright? So, palakpakan naman natin. Let's all welcome here, Attorney Lawrence Edgardo Del Puerto. Alright. Lipat ko na kay attorney yung spotlight video. Attorney, kayo na po yan na nasa screen po ngayon. And welcome to Success Community TV po.
Thank you, John Calob. I appreciate the introduction. I'd just like also to reiterate that I have been in the practice of law for almost 10 years and counting.
Wow, grabe, over a decade
I am still
na po
in the practice of law. At the same time, I am a legal officer of the Department of Education in the Division of Cagayan de Oro City.
Tama-tama po, no? Kasi attorney, para lang sa information po natin, marami po tayong mga success community members na taga DepEd po, buong Pilipinas po, no?
Yes.
So shout out tayo sa lahat ng mga taga DepEd dyan. Bati naman yung mga taga DepEd dyan. Lagay nyo naman na you're also from Department of Education para naman na makilala namin kayo. Ayan. So attorney, I know you prepared something very powerful for our global audience today. And ako mismo, be your student today, no? Babalik ako sa pagiging estudyante because this is really something that I think for some reason na miss talaga ng mga Pilipino na hindi natin natugunan ng pansin sa sa ordinary na education na nakuha natin sa eskwelahan. So ayan po siguro ang mapupunuan nyo ngayon. Take it away, attorney. We give you the whole 45 minutes for your part 1 to share with us yung inyong pinipare po na talk po.
All right, thank you. Now, actually, I'm not sure if I can share everything that I need to share for 45 minutes, but I'll try my best. In any case, after this, later on during the question and answer, you can ask questions, and from those also from the DepEd, you can also ask questions. It can be related to DepEd issues, but if ever we could not cater those kind of questions because of time constraints, don't worry, I'll be able to post my YouTube link, and in the YouTube you can place there in the comments your questions, so that next time if there will be another opportunity for me to go online, I'll be able to answer those questions for you if you will participate again and continuously join in our activities here in Success Community. So before I begin, I am grateful for Success Community to give me this opportunity to share my knowledge about the law to the people. Now, this is for free, and don't be ashamed to ask any questions. And if ever you are hesitant to share it on public, don't worry, you can PM me on Facebook. You can add me on Facebook. You can look for my name, Lawrence Arola Del Puerto. We can be friends, and you can ask me You can message me in Facebook, or you can go and subscribe my YouTube channel, my YouTube videos, and there you can comment and post also your questions. Now, I'll be discussing about the basics in life and what you can use in your business. You know, some of these things, some of the basics of law, we've been taught in college, you know, especially the Constitution. But sad to say, we don't give much importance to it, or maybe our professors failed to emphasize the importance of the Constitution. If we speak of basic law, the most basic and fundamental law that we have is the Constitution. Now, I cannot discuss all the provisions of the Constitution, so I will just share some crucial part that we can use already, and especially that is prevalent some in our current situation in this country. Someone messaged me before to discuss this matter, especially with our right to due process, and what what would be our right if ever we will be arrested because of an arrest warrant, or we will be arrested without any warrant of arrest. I will be discussing this matter, but it cannot be totally so well detailed, I must admit, because I have, like I said, we have a time constraint of 45 minutes, and I will still have to discuss about loan problems, kasi marami ako talaga nakita sa comments. I can see in the comments that there are we have a lot of viewers here that have a lot of problems on loans. So I would like to emphasize more on that and the process that will happen, how you can avail of justice from those people that borrowed money from you and until now they have not paid it. So before I begin, I would like to ask John Calub, can I share my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I gave you access already to the share
Okay.
screen. Pwede na po tayo mag-share po. Yeah, you are
Okay.
coming clear, attorney. Okay po.
Okay. So first, I would like to emphasize the Bill of Rights. Why? Why is it that I must give emphasis in the Bill of Rights? Let me quote the Supreme Court on the importance of the Bill of Rights. What did the Supreme Court say? The individual citizen is but a speck of particle or molecule. O ganyan ka kaliit, particle ka lang, you're just a molecule, compared or vis-a-vis the vast and overwhelming powers of the government. His only guarantee, the individual citizen, his only guarantee against oppression and tyranny are his fundamental liberties under the Bill of Rights, which shield him in times of need. So this is why I must put emphasis on the Bill of Rights. Now, I cannot discuss all the provisions under the Bill of Rights. If you are interested to inform yourself, you can Google and please do also. If you want to know more of the law, you must do your own research. No, please don't be dependent on me. I'm just here to help you out, but at the end of the day, the best person to help you is yourself. So also inform yourself. What are your rights under the Bill of Rights? Number one, I must emphasize this one, is Section 1 of the Bill of Rights. It says, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of laws. So this is self-explanatory. I'll not discuss it further. Now this one is very important. Section 2 of the Bill of Rights says, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature and for any purpose shall be inviolable. So meaning it should not be violated. Your right to unreasonable searches and seizures should not be violated. And no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall issue except only on probable cause to be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant and the witnesses he may produce, particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, I'll discuss this further in the next slide. Now, it says here procedure if you want to file a criminal case. Before I'll talk about this procedure. Now, let's say, for example, someone borrowed 1 million pesos from you. And this person issued a check to secure the payment of his loan. He issued a check worth 1 million pesos. He gave it to you, dated, let's say, December 2020. But when December 2020 comes, you went to the bank, but then the bank says the account is closed, and there's no sufficient funds to cover the amount of the check. What then is your legal remedy? What you shall do if this happens to you? Now, under the law, if someone issued you a bouncing check, then that person has violated the bouncing check law. Now, the bouncing check law is penal law. Penal law meaning if you violate this law, you will be penalized and you will be imprisoned. So, what you will do now, if ever that person who borrowed from you violated the bouncing check law by issuing a check to you which bounce. So what you do, if you have a lawyer friend, or even if just a law graduate or anyone who can help you, you execute a complaint affidavit. Now in your complaint affidavit, you put in there your annexes of your supporting documents and evidences that you need. Like, for example, a copy of the check which bounced, and then the stamp of the bank which said that the check has been closed due to insufficient funds. So you make this complaint affidavit, but do not have this complaint affidavit notarized by a private lawyer. Okay? This complaint affidavit must be notarized by the prosecutor's office. So, which prosecutor's office? Is it the city or the provincial prosecutor's office? Now, if the crime was committed in the city, the person who issued you a bouncing check, the check that was issued, it was issued here in Manila, in Quezon City, for example. So, you go to the Quezon City prosecutor's office. And then in that Quezon City prosecutor's office, you submit your complaint affidavit, and you tell them, I want my complaint affidavit to be notarized. Now that is for free. Okay? So you don't have to worry for the notarization for your complaint affidavit. That's free. So the city prosecutor's office will then notarize that for free. And they will give it back to you. Now, after the complaint affidavit has been notarized by the prosecutor, you submit it back to the city or provincial prosecutor's office. No, depending upon the situation. If the crime was committed in the city, you submit in the city prosecutor's office. If it's committed in the province, you submit it in the provincial prosecutor's office. Then they will give you an investigation data form. Now, you fill up that investigation data form and then you submit it. What will happen next after that complaint affidavit has been submitted by you to the city prosecutor's office? The next thing that will happen is that the prosecutor will send a subpoena to the respondent. So to the person that you are complaining of, no, let's say John is complaining against Mark, Mark then will receive a subpoena from the prosecutor's office, and it will tell him you submit your counter affidavit within 10 days. So, if ever you are the respondent and you are not the complainant, the moment that you receive this subpoena which tells you that within 10 days you submit your counter affidavit, it is well recommended that within 10 days, please submit your counter affidavit. Now, the moment you make your counter affidavit, you must remember this also because some lawyers also forget it. If you are the respondent and you make a counter affidavit, make sure that your counter affidavit is also notarized by the prosecutor's office. It should not be notarized by your private lawyer. It should be the city prosecutor's office who must notarize your counter affidavit. And then after that notarization, you give a copy to the complainant, and then after giving a copy to the complainant, you submit your counter affidavit around 4 to 5 copies to the prosecutor's office. Okay. Now, after the time period for the respondent to submit his counter affidavit, the prosecutor may then set a meeting for the parties to attend. It could be for clarificatory questions or whatever investigation that the prosecutor would want to do. And then in that meeting also, there can be an amicable settlement that may happen. So if you are able to make an amicable settlement, let's say you are the respondent and you owe the person 1 million, and you issue the bouncing check, and you are the one who has a case of violating the bouncing check law, you can ask for amicable settlement in the prosecutor's office. You say, you know, I don't have 1 million, I have 100,000. If you will allow me, I will pay the 1 million in 10 months, 100,000 per month, and I'll be able to settle my account. So is that is the complainant amenable for this one? And if the complainant agrees with it, then make sure that you will have right there and then a compromise agreement signed by all the parties, the complainant and you, the respondent, and then also by the prosecutor. And then make sure that after the amicable settlement, the complainant will issue an affidavit of desistance. So once the affidavit of desistance has been issued by the complainant and you have an amicable settlement, then your case is considered dismissed. It will not anymore pursue. Unless, of course, you violate the compromise agreement. If you violate the compromise agreement, then of course the complainant will have the right again to pursue the case. Okay? Now, if there is no amicable settlement in the meeting, then of course the prosecutor will proceed to evaluate the case, the documents, evidences presented, and then the prosecutor will issue a resolution whether or not he was able to find a probable cause. So, now, if there is a probable cause that the respondent may have committed the crime charge, what the prosecutor will do then now is to make an information. He will execute an information, and then he will submit this information to the regional trial court or to the municipal trial court, no, depending upon the case. Now, I put here procedure after the complaint affidavit had been filed if preliminary investigation is required. So, what do I mean by this if preliminary investigation is required? You see, there are cases that are there are cases that you file which requires the conduct of preliminary investigation. So what are these cases? Usually, if the crime committed, the imposable penalty is more than 4 years. So usually, if the crime committed is grave or less grave, so in short, kung medyo malala yung kaso mo, most likely a preliminary investigation will be conducted, no? So, but if the case is just a very slight case, like for example, damage to property or slight physical injury, usually these cases they do not need preliminary investigation. So, what is preliminary investigation? What is the procedure there? The thing that I am talking about, no? The prosecutor will evaluate will set a meeting to ask questions to the parties, and then he will evaluate the documents and the cases. That's the preliminary investigation process that the prosecutor is undertaking. Now, after all of those things, if he thinks that there is a probable cause that you may have committed a crime, then the prosecutor will submit an information to the regional trial court or to the municipal trial court, depending on what kind of case that is filed against you. Now, once the information is filed to the regional trial court or the municipal trial court, then that's the time that a warrant of arrest will then be issued by the appropriate trial court. So do not think na automatic ka aarestuhin. No, that will not happen to you. Remember, it is provided under the Constitution that you cannot be arrested unless due process has been made. So before you will be arrested, there must be a warrant of arrest first. Okay? But is there a situation wherein you will be arrested without a warrant of arrest? The answer is yes. So, in any case, before we will discuss that later on, I give you here an advice. So what is then your immediate legal remedy if you are the accused or the respondent? Now, whenever a resolution is issued by the prosecutor, finding that there is a probable cause that you, the respondent, may have committed a crime charge, in that resolution, you can see in that resolution that the prosecutor will recommend a certain amount for the bail. Nakalagay naman dyan sa resolution na yan eh. Bail recommended, 72,000, example, ganyan. So, what you do, if you don't want to be arrested, you post bail immediately. Or you go to a lawyer and make a motion. If you cannot afford the bail, then you make a motion to reduce the bail and then you post bail so that you need not be arrested. Okay? Now, so is there a situation wherein you will be arrested without need of a warrant of arrest? The answer is yes. And what are these circumstances? Number one is when in his presence, the person to be arrested has committed, is actually committing, or is attempting to commit an offense. So in short, if I'll give you an example, if I'll see John Calob stabbing Jason Padilla in front of me, I can arrest John Calob right there and then. Because in my presence, John Calob has committed or is actually committing a crime. Okay? Is that understandable? The next is when an offense has just been committed. Is it okay, John, to use you as an example? Or
Yes. Para po mas
Okay.
madali nyo na matandaan. Pero okay lang po, hindi naman tayo sasaksak ng tao. Lalo na si Jason.
Natatakot ako gamitin
Mahal na mahal ko
pangalan yung mga panelist eh. Baka magalit. Okay. So,
Okay lang po, attorney.
Thank you. Now, another example is when an offense has just been committed and he has probable cause to believe, based on personal knowledge of facts or circumstances, that the person to be arrested has committed it. So, example of this is like when you are when you are walking and you are walking with your friend, and suddenly your friend has been, the bag of your friend has suddenly been snatched by another person, and you call a police, and when the police went there, the snatching has already happened, right? So the situation is the offense has just been committed. So since the police now has probable cause to believe that that person running with the bag is the person who committed the crime, he can arrest that person running without need of a warrant of arrest because the offense has just been committed. And the arresting officer has a probable cause to believe, based on his personal knowledge of the facts of circumstances, that the person to be arrested has committed it. Okay? Now, as we go to number 3, when the person to be arrested is a prisoner who has escaped from a penal establishment. Of course, if you read this one, this just means if someone evaded his sentence in the prison, you can arrest him without warrant of arrest. Hot pursuit, that is in a situation also wherein, let's say, a police car is in the hot pursuit of a car used by hold-uppers or by robbers, and they were running. So they can arrest the robbers even without the use of a warrant of arrest. Now, sometimes in the harsh realities of life, there are times that you will be arrested, and during the arrest, the police can commit abuses in your person. So I have handled several cases wherein these things happen. When they were arrested, they have been maltreated by the police. There was a situation, let's not divulge any names. There was a certain situation wherein the detained person was a beautiful lady, and she was forced to have sex with the police while under detention. And so it's also important, I would like to share this one. So if ever you will be arrested, either by a warrant of arrest or because of a warrantless arrest, you will know your rights. So where can we see our rights if we are under detention? Republic Act number 7438 is the special law that provides for our rights if we are a person under detention. It says here, it is an act defining certain rights of person arrested.
detain, or under custodial investigation, as well as the duties of the arresting, detaining, and investigating officers, and providing penalties for violations thereof. So under Republic Act number 7438, if ever you have a family friend or a relative that has been arrested, has been detained, or is under custodial investigation, you look into Republic Act number 7438 and see if his rights have been violated. So I'll share some examples of the rights of a person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation. So number one is that any person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation shall at all times be assisted by counsel. So you always have that right to your counsel, even if you are detained or you are under custodial investigation. And letter B, any public officer or employee or anyone acting under his order is placed who arrests, detains, or investigates any person for the commission of offense shall inform the latter in the language known to and understood by him of his rights to remain silent and to have competent and independent counsel, preferably of his own choice, who shall at all times be allowed to confer privately with the person arrested, detained, or custodial investigation. So remember this, the moment that you have been arrested, you must be informed that you have the right to remain silent. Sometimes the police officers, they will forget this one. And what they will do in their statement, in their affidavit of the arresting officer, they will mention there that they told you to remain silent and you have the right to do this and do that, but actually, no, sometimes they forget it. If ever they forget it, you remember they violated Republic Act 7438. Now, there are two rights here. It's not just to remain silent. There are several rights here. Number one, you must be informed of the reason of why you have been arrested. Number two, you have the right to remain silent. And number three, remember this well, you have the right to a competent and independent counsel, preferably of your own choice. So dapat ikaw ang pipili ng abogado, hindi yung police, hindi yung prosecutor. Baka pagdating doon, wala kang abogado, bibigyan ka ng abogado. No, do not agree to that. Kasi baka maybe that lawyer that they provided you is in cahoots with them, no, to make you admit something that you don't want to admit. So always remember, you tell the police, you tell the prosecutor, you have the right to choose your own competent and independent counsel. And this counsel must always be at all times be allowed to confer privately with the person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation. Remember, to confer privately. One time I had a scuffle with the police officer in one of my cases because when I went to the detention cell and I wanted to talk with my client, the police officers were there at my back listening to our conversation because I know they are watching us because they were able to torture my client the day before. So they want to know whether the client will tell me that they had been tortured or not. So they were at my back listening to our conversation. So I told the police officer, excuse me, please leave us all alone. My client has the right to confer privately with me in person. So if ever the police will not give you a chance to confer privately with your lawyer, then tell your lawyer the police officers have violated Republic Act 7438. Okay? Now, there are, we have a lot of provisions here, but you can read this one later on, or you can also search the Google because we cannot anymore talk much more of the details of this one because the 45 minutes that has been given to me will not be enough. This is about 30 slides. And if I'll talk more than 2 minutes each slides, then that will be already 60 minutes. So this one, these other provisions that are posted in my PowerPoint, you just either review the recording of this lecture. If you want to read it, some of these are self-explanatory. They are written in English. You can understand them. So I'll just like also to define to you what is custodial investigation. Well, custodial investigation shall include the practice of issuing an invitation to a person who is investigated in connection with an offense he is suspected to have committed without prejudice to the liability of the inviting officer for any violation of law. Usually the one who sends invitations to a person that is being investigated is the NBI. So the moment an NBI sends you an investigation, a letter to invite you for investigation, that is already custodial investigation. So why is this important for you to understand? What is a custodial investigation? Because the moment you are under custodial investigation, Republic Act 7438 will apply. Okay? Now, if ever you are detained because you have been arrested without any warrant of arrest, you must remember that if ever the police officers will fail to deliver you to the proper judicial authorities in a given period of time, they will be liable under Article 125 of the Revised Penal Code. What does Article 125 of the Revised Penal Code says? That penalties will be imposed upon the public officers or employee who shall detain any person for some legal ground and shall fail to deliver such person to the proper judicial authorities within the period of 12 hours if your crime is punishable by light penalties, 18 hours if the crime is punishable by correctional penalties, and 36 hours for crimes or offenses punishable by afflictive or capital penalties. So for example, you punch someone, and then after punching that someone, the police officer was able to see you punch another person, so you have committed a crime. And that is only slight physical injury. A slight physical injury is a crime punishable by light penalty. So if ever the police officer will put you in jail because you have punched somebody and the offense that you have committed is only punishable by a light penalty, therefore, you can only stay in the detention cell for 12 hours. If within 12 hours, that person that you punch will not file a complaint against you, then it is a must that the police officer must open the cell and let you go after 12 hours. If that person that you punch will not file a complaint within 12 hours, after 12 hours, you must be let go by the police officer. If the police officer will still put you in jail for more than 12 hours, he has committed a violation of Article 125 of the Revised Penal Code. There are also acts that would penalize torture and other cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. So while you are in prison, if ever there will be acts that have been committed against your person where you think that this is not a normal treatment, like for example, even though you have been arrested, but while you are arrested, while you are handcuffed, you are being punched by the police officer, then that is already a form of torture, and that is a violation of Republic Act number 9745. So here, there are a lot of provisions about Republic Act 9745 penalizing torture, other cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. I would just like to share some of these cruel and inhuman and degrading treatment because during this time of COVID, I can see many times in Facebook and in the media that this has been violated by the police officers and by government officials. Every time they have arrested people that have violated the Bayanihan Act. Okay? So you can just browse through this, or what are the meanings, but what I would like to focus now is what are the acts of torture. So there's a physical torture, and physical torture means it is a form of treatment or punishment inflicted by a person in authority or agent of a person in authority upon another in his or her custody that causes severe pain, exhaustion, disability, or dysfunction of one or more parts of the body. So if ever you have been beaten physically, you've been punched, kicked, striking, you have been struck by a bat, by a rifle bat, or any similar object, then that is physical torture. If you have not been given food, you've been deprived of food, and also if you have been subjected to electric shock, that is torture. cigarette burning, a lot of things here. You can read it for yourself. What are the acts that can be considered physical torture? And the next is mental or psychological torture. This refers to acts committed by a person in authority or agent of a person in authority which are calculated to affect or confuse the mind and or undermine the person's dignity and morale. So if you will be blindfolded by the police, that is already mental and psychological torture. So be wary of that. If the police will tell you, if you will not tell the truth, I will kill your mother, I will kill your wife, that is already psychological torture. Remember, also in the news, there was this police station in Manila or Quezon City wherein the detention cell is hidden. It went out in the news. That is confinement in solitary cell or secret detention places. That is already considered psychological torture. That is already a violation of the Police Officers of Republic Act 9745. Prolonged interrogation, meaning 1 day, 2 days, or more than 5 hours, 8 hours, you've always been interrogated. That is already psychological torture. And also, if you prepare the person under detention for a show trial, public display or public humiliation of a detainee or prisoner. I also highlighted here number 10. Shame infliction, such as stripping the person naked. So pag hinubaran ka doon sa detention, that is already torture. Parading him or her in public places. Ito, marami na itong nangyari na to. No? Remember, during the COVID, in this COVID times, maraming ginawang public officials, police officers, pinaparade nila yung naka-violate ng Bayanihan Hill Akaswan. So this is already that form of parading the person arrested in public places. That's already a form of psychological torture. Okay? So if you want to know more, just go and read the law and learn for yourself. Okay? I cannot discuss everything. And then, another important matter also is that you have the right to physical, medical, and psychological examination. Now, it says here, before and after interrogation, every person arrested, detained, or under custodial investigation will have the right to be informed of his or her right to demand physical examination by an independent and competent doctor of his or her own choice. If the person cannot afford the services of this doctor, then he shall be provided by the state with a competent and independent doctor to conduct physical examination. So the state shall endeavor to provide the victim with psychological evaluation if available under the circumstances. If the person arrested is a female, she shall be attended to preferably by a female doctor. Furthermore, any person arrested, detained, or under custodial, including his or immediate, shall have the right to immediate access to proper and adequate medical treatment. So remember, if, for example, you are under detention or you are a prisoner and something happened to you, no, you have been stabbed or you have been punched, and for all you know, you have some mental problems. So you have the right to a physical and medical and psychological examination. And the doctor must be of your own choice. The doctor must be independent, must be an independent and competent doctor, and it must be of your own choice. No? It is only when you cannot afford the services of a doctor that's the time that the state will be the one to provide you with the competent and independent doctor. And if you are a woman, the doctor that must be provided must also be a woman, not a male doctor. Okay, so these are your rights. So if ever you have been denied of a psychological, physical, and medical examination while you are under detention, Republic Act 9745 has been violated by the police officer or any government official that was detaining you. Okay? Okay. Now, this law also says, now this is one thing that I must say that this provision is a bad provision. I don't know why our legislators even wrote this kind of provision. It says here in this law that any person who do not wish to avail of the rights under this provision may knowingly and voluntarily waive such things in writing, executed in the presence and assistance of his or her counsel. So meaning, if you don't want to avail of your right to a competent and independent doctor, you can waive it in writing. So what if you were tortured? What if you were tortured to the point wherein you have been coerced to waive these rights in writing in the presence of counsel? So meaning, all of these rights, this right to a physical and psychological examination will be waived by you. Remember this. Do not ever, if ever you are in prison, never ever waive your right under the provision of Republic Act 9745. Your right to an independent and competent doctor, never ever waive that one in writing. Okay? So that you can always avail of the assistance of a competent and independent doctor, especially if you have been tortured. Now, torture is a separate and independent crime, meaning you can file. This is a separate case. No, you can file a separate case of torture against the police officer or any government official who have committed torture in your person. And you can be compensated. You can be compensated by the government. The law says that any person who has suffered torture shall have the right to claim for compensation. No, under Republic Act number 7309. And it should not be lower than 10,000 pesos. So at least if you have no money or you lost your money while in prison because of a lawyer, but since you were tortured, then you can claim compensation for the torture that have been committed against your person. Now, a little break here. Tapos na yung, generally, that's all about it, about your rights in arrest, if you are detained, and your rights against torture. So that's all for the right of your Bill of Rights for due process, wherein you will not be arrested without warrant of arrest. Now, I would like to proceed to another topic, a simple topic. I'll give you a little story before I'll speak about this law. Luke was able to find $100. A young kid was able to find $100 while he was walking. And he was so happy because he has this $100. He found the $100. So he went back hurriedly to his home, to his mother, and said to his mother, "Oh, mother, look at me. I am so lucky today. I found $100. Now the mother is skeptical. Maybe she's not sure that her kid, Luke, was able to really find that $100 money. So the mother asked Luke, "Luke, how sure are you that you found that $100 money?" And Luke said, "Well, because I saw the person looking for money for $100. So he was sure that the money that he found was a money that had been lost. So does Luke have a right to the $100? If ever you're walking or if in other places you find something, a money or a cell phone, do you have a right to that money or to that cell phone that you found?" So this is, I would just like to share this law. Under our new civil code in Article 559, the law says the possession of movable property acquired in good faith is equivalent to a title. So the answer is yes, because you were able to possess the movable property, you acquire it in good faith. In good faith na, nakita mo, hindi mo naman ninakaw, di ba? Hindi mo naman alam kung may-ari, nandiyan lang yan. Nakita mo sa daan, 1,000 pesos, $100, or cellphone. So if you found it, do you have a right to it? The answer is yes. That is equivalent to a title. Meaning, you have the right of ownership to that money you found. But nevertheless, one who has lost any movable or has been unlawfully deprived thereof may recover it from the person in possession of the same. So if ever the person who lost that money was able to see that you found his money and he will demand that you give it back to him, well then he has the right to recover it from you. Unless you deny, of course, that it is not his money. That's the problem anymore. But nonetheless, in simple cases such as this, I would just like to share to you that when it comes to movable property, the possession of movable property acquired in good faith is equivalent to title. Now, how about in a situation wherein the movable property was lost, wherein which the owner has been unlawfully deprived, but this one has been acquired in good faith at a public sale, then for the owner to recover his property that he was able to lose but was acquired by another person in good faith at a public sale, then the owner cannot obtain its return without reimbursing the price of that movable property that was lost. Of course, movable property, this means personal property, cell phone, money, anything that you can move around, you can transport from one place to another, that is movable property. Laptop, anything. And this law will apply. Okay? Now, let's talk about business. If ever you want to create a sole proprietor, if you're a person and you want to create your own business, wherein you are the owner of the business, before you can operate this business, you must have your business, you must register your business to the Department of Trade and Industry. But if ever you want to form a business that is under a corporation, then you go to the Securities and Exchange Commission for your business to be registered since it is a corporation. Now, I will not discuss more details on this one, but there will come a time wherein we will discuss the revised corporation code. Okay? The revised corporation code is very long, so we cannot discuss all the details about corporations. What I'll just share here is that if ever you want to create your own business, if it is a sole proprietor, meaning you own it by yourself, you alone is the owner, then go to DTI, to the Department of Trade and Industry, and have your business registered with the Department of Trade and Industry. But later on, in other lectures, in future lectures, we will also discuss about the law for small businesses. Now, there are certain advantages if you are a micro entrepreneur. If you are an SMBE, a small and micro business establishments, there are certain privileges that you can have. So we can discuss that some other time. And if ever you want to form a corporation, you go to the Securities Exchange Commission, and we will discuss someday more about corporations. There will be a different time for us to discuss this topic, because we will be discussing salient provisions of the revised corporation code. Now, yung mga tanong ninyo, maraming nakakautang sa akin, anong gagawin ko? If ever the money owed to you does not exceed the amount of 300,000 pesos, you don't need to go to a lawyer. You don't need to pay. You don't need to pay for a lawyer to help you recover the money. Let's say Mark borrowed from Jane 100,000 pesos. For Jane to recover the money owed by Mark to Jane, Jane doesn't need to go to the lawyer. What she needs to do is to go to the municipal trial court and file a small claim. Okay? So what is a small claim action? The small claim action is where the value of the claim does not exceed 400,000 pesos, exclusive of interest and cost, for Metropolitan Trial Court. Okay? So if your claim, your monetary claim is 400,000 pesos, regardless, hindi kasama yung mga interest. If your interest is 500,000, but if the amount that you are claiming do not exceed 400,000, you can file a small claim action in the Metropolitan Trial Court. But if the amount is 300,000 or less, exclusive of interest and cost, you file your small claim action in the Municipal Trial Court. So the question is, attorney, what if the person owed me 500,000 pesos? Then you don't file a small claim action. You will file for a recovery sum of money. You go to the Regional Trial Court. And it will be an ordinary action. It will not be a small claim action. There's a certain amount, whether the ordinary action will fall under the Municipal Trial Court or to the Regional Trial Court. So it will be an ordinary action of recovery sum of money. So my advice to you, no matter how small the amount is, if you have a friend that is borrowing money from you, 1,000, 2,500 pesos, if you want to recover these things with ease, always let them sign a promissory note, or always let them sign some note or some paper wherein they will promise to pay this amount in a certain period of time, so that you can have a document to show to the court that this person borrowed you money. Because if you don't have any documents to show to support your claim that that person borrowed you money, then that will be a big problem in presenting, in proving to the court that for example, Mark borrowed 1,000 pesos from Jane. Jane will have a problem proving in the court that Mark borrowed 1,000 because hello.